some of us are going through profound loss. We may be mourning the loss of a person, of a loved one. We may be mourning the loss of a relationship where that person is still living, but our relationship with them has shifted, maybe to the point that they are no longer in our life. And maybe that was for the best. Maybe that was somehow part of our path. And for some of us, we might be mourning things that we might say are not quite as profound, or we might minimize it. But, the loss of our freedom or our time if we're new parents, the loss of the real loss of the last few months, which is employment for a lot of people. So there's a lot going on that grief and loss and that cycle is playing out in the world right now and in our individual lives. And in my own life, personally, I feel like grief just keeps coming in waves, sometimes big, sometimes small. But the theme is always the same, which is that a significant loss has occurred, and usually it's out of our control. So that's the scary part that I think a lot of us get in this place where we want to avoid or fill that space with something else, because most of us don't like that feeling of not being in control. But if just for this time we could reframe a little bit and allow ourselves to let go of that control and welcome the grief that is coming from whatever situation is going on in your life right now. We're going to walk through an example. And hopefully by the end, my intention for this call is that you'll be able to not only create this welcoming space to allow some grief that you may be carrying around, whether it's a really big, obvious situation or something smaller might come to your awareness today, but just opening that gateway for some healing work to be done in this area in a really gentle and kind way. And always holding ourselves with the utmost compassion. And I know for myself, I still find myself thinking, I should really be over this by now. Have you ever thought that? I should really be over this issue, this relationship that keeps plaguing me. And so I'd like to invite you to bring to mind, if you brought something already, then I'd like you to just hold that in your heart. And we're going to walk through this area of life that you're working through grief right now. And if you're open and you entered the call thinking, I want to learn more about how to process grief and understand loss, and you're open to something coming to you, it might help for you to think about, is there a life area? Just give yourself a minute to search for anywhere in your life where you might be saying to yourself, I should be over this by now. This relationship, this challenge, this loss, this area that I just can't seem to move past. So rather than asking that question, why am I not over this? I'd like to invite you to ask, what am I still mourning about this life area? This is the healing and compassion that we need to have for ourselves if we're going to move through grief and allow it to transform us and create more vitality and more space in our life for newness. Because that's really what grief is. It's about letting this loss come to our awareness and understand that the loss has occurred, but then working through the releasing at whatever pace we naturally would take. So we're not forcing ourselves. There's no right way to grieve, but letting ourselves go through that process so that when we come out the other side, we feel that lightness and we feel that freedom and that enthusiasm for life and zest for life starts to return again. And so my hope today is just that we're going to help move some of this energy. And so maybe as I'm talking, something's coming to you. Maybe you have something already that you are looking to feel a little differently about, looking to shift. So what is this life area? And I'll bring up our slides. What is this life area for you that you would like to work with today? Are you grieving a relationship, a health issue, the loss of a loved one, a pet, a job? Maybe a relationship has shifted and moved into a new phase and you're grieving the old way things used to be. Maybe you're grieving your old self. A lot of us are going through a lot of change and transformation. What's coming to you right now? You might want to write it down. You might just want to hold that intention. And using your cards or using the words I'm bringing up on the screen now, how are you feeling? There are usually some common threads here. But if you could name some of the feelings that come up, what would they be? Impatient and embarrassed, Rebecca's saying. Thank you. Frustrated, yeah. Withdrawn. Lisa's saying withdrawn, yeah. It's not written here, but I often feel this mix of like vulnerability and sadness when I'm experiencing some grief and loss. Like I'm the only one in the world that's experiencing this, perhaps. But also that my center, my stability is being shaken up. Things are being turned upside down. Lisa's saying withdrawn, uneasy, also feeling fulfilled in many ways, so confused. It is a confusing time, isn't it? Because things are shifting, the ground is shifting, everything is moving, and it can take us time to get back our center, right? And I think it's really important, and thank you for mentioning that, Lisa, because I think it's really important that we allow these shifts to occur and these kind of like places where we can't quite find our footing, because that's the transformation part where something new is coming, something old is falling away, and a stronger, wiser, more evolved version of ourselves is emerging. However, there's this falling away part where we're kind of left in the middle. I think I've heard you say at least before, like it's being in the hallway, right? It's like you're changing rooms and you're in this hallway and you're not quite sure what to do. And that's okay too, where there's room for that. There's room to hold compassion and acceptance for not knowing and feeling that confusion. It is confusing when things start to shift. So we're still mourning because there's still more here for us. And to bring this to our awareness is to just ask the question, what must be mourned here? We're acknowledging how we feel, but what is it really that we are mourning the loss of? And I'm gonna invite you to just maybe write a couple of notes. So I'm grieving the loss of because, and I feel. So what must be mourned? What is it that's coming up for me right now? Is it the loss of freedom, of autonomy, of connection in the way that you used to experience connection, whether physically or emotionally? And I'm just going to invite everyone to move into a body scan, really sitting in that space of this area, this specific issue, and see if you can, just by bringing your awareness inward, close your eyes if that helps you, straightening your spine, checking in with your body. Can you locate where this sits in your body? Is there a location? Where does the grief sit? And just asking your intuition to show you, does it have a specific texture or color? Or even just you feel a sensation, a heaviness. Grief often is a heaviness. Just really, really tuning into that and giving it a moment just to make itself known to you. And I find it helpful to just go with the sensation. You don't have to get too into interpreting it just yet. But go with that sensation. And then I invite you to just really start to bring your attention onto that sensation. Breathe into it, expand it a little bit, and invite it to speak to you. So what does the sensation or part of your body that's calling out to you saying, this is where this grief is sitting, what does it want you to know? Is there a message? The message might just be the sensation, so don't worry if nothing specific comes. Just take a moment and check in and see what comes to you. So we work with the body to help us process grief. And since we are just focusing on the physical for this moment right here, I also want to encourage you, when you are going through a particularly heavy time in this way, it can be really, really helpful to move your body and give the grief places to go. So that might be walking, that might be yoga, that might be Tai Chi, it might be body work or energy work, but just allowing yourself space, especially if you're going through, really painful loss, allowing your physical body to help move that grief for you. And that requires your participation and your awareness. And you know what's best for you. But just connecting to that physical energy is really, really helpful in letting our body process grief. And breathing, just allowing the air to exit. We hold our breath. And I know for me, grief often sits on my chest. I feel it like very heavy right here. But when I take open, deep heart breaths, I find that sensation lightens and just helps to move some of that energy. Good work. So let's just ask and check in and asking either the sensation, the feeling, both. What is it that I need right now? What do I need right now to love and care for myself in the most compassionate and kind way? And I'll just close our videos off so people can see the words. If you don't have your cards. So just in the spirit of nurturing and taking care of yourself through a painful period, what is it that you need most right now? And just choose as many words that come to you right now. Maybe there's one particular need that really stands out for you. I invite you to just write that need down. What would the core need be? All of the needs that are speaking to you right now are important, but is there one that you could circle and just really focus in on your intuition as we move into choosing an inspiration card and just asking the question, how might I meet this need in my life as I'm moving through this difficult period? How might this need be met for me? Let's go into our inspiration card with that intention. I invite you to do that. You may just want to choose a card randomly for your and see whatever comes to you, just asking what do I need to know? That's always an option. But if you'd like to bring a need, I really feel that it's so important to really take our self-care to an extreme level when we're going through these difficult times. And so giving yourself permission to choose one of those very precious needs and really tune into what your intuition is saying to you about that. You chose that need because it's something that's really, really important. So now let's ask the question, what do I need to know? What does my soul, what does my heart want me to know? And you can choose, remembering always to breathe, and then just choosing an inspiration card and asking the question, what does my soul want me to know? And if you don't have your cards with you and you're watching back replay, you can use one of these symbols at the bottom of your screen. Notice what you see in that symbol or the word or the combination of the two and how it might apply to your situation. So Lisa chose connect and quiet. Oh, I'd love to hear what comes from that. And just take a moment to journal anything that might come to you from your card pick. Becca chose change. As we are shedding these layers of grief, there are many hills and valleys that we go through. And Lisa mentioned tears, and tears can really be an amazing outlet for the sadness, the loneliness, the vulnerability, all of those mixed emotions. To allow ourselves to shed tears is part of the shedding of the layers and can be incredibly healthy and therapeutic, physiologically and emotionally, spiritually. So just allowing space for that and memorializing our loss also really brings the healing potential into our experience. And again, this happens slowly and it happens at our own pace, but when we're able to look at what must be celebrated in light of this change, that yes, there have been losses, but whether it be the memories of the one that we miss or the possibilities that have now opened because our time is no longer at this, say, old job, or for me, he as a parent, mourning the fact that my children don't need me as much as they used to anymore. And I can celebrate that there are new spaces of time opening up in my life. And those, just being able to look at that other angle when it feels right and in season for us can really help to move us along in healing. But always remembering that there are layers, and it's like our transform card. It's why I loved that card came up for me in a number of different Connect Deck sessions. I kept pulling the transform card, and that's what grief looks like to me, is this, meandering around. I'll just bring it back up for close, but it's not a straight path. It moves. There's hills, there's valleys. Sometimes we can't see around the bend, we can't see around the corner, but as long as we're giving ourselves space and doing this process with the utmost love and compassion and acceptance for ourselves, we are going to come out the other side. And I love this analogy of a river of souls. That's the last thing I'd love to close with, is just emphasizing the importance of community when we're going through a loss. There is a tendency for us to want to isolate, to want to keep to ourselves. And I think some of that is important because we're recalibrating and we're, clearing, and we're doing all this amazing work. But to be able to speak openly about it, to be able to have another person truly see us and truly hear us and give us that empathy, that's also a really key element in healing through grief and through loss, and allows us to release it in that way, through our words, through our tears. And so I hope today we've been able to give you a few options in helping you to process whatever it is that you're going through. And whether you're listening live or you're listening on the replay, we are here as a community of souls, supporting one another and helping to move forward in becoming the best, fullest, most vital version of ourselves. And so I greatly appreciate Lisa for her beautiful share, and Carla McLaren, who informs both of our research and our process. If anyone has done sessions with me with the horses, I've probably given you one of these emotional message chart booklets. These are based on the work of Carla McLaren as well. So might be nice to pull that out and work through the questions that that page has. So. Okay, so thanks everyone. I think that's everything. The new Connect Deck cards are here. And so again, just inviting everyone who would like a set to just email me and I can get those to you with the new symbols. And the app will be coming soon for testing. And so thank you for those of you that have contacted me. I'm collecting emails right now, and I will be sending an email out soon with more instruction and a little more detail about how that's all going to work. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lisa, so much. And we will see everybody next week. Will be our last week in order. And then we will be going back to twice a month on the first and third Thursday of the month, starting in September. So I'll remind everybody of that in an email. Okay, so thanks everyone. Have a wonderful day, and we will connect with you all next week.
Bye.
Bye for now. Bye.